Gates banked 35 billion US dollars during COVID-19. Now, this probably does not come as a surprise to a lot of people. We know that during COVID, many of the world's billionaires increased their wealth. So did many of the world's wealthiest corporations, to the likes of Amazon, Alibaba, Facebook, etc. And Microsoft did as well. But the net gains of Microsoft do not equate for the total net gains that Bill Gates, the individual, was able to accumulate. Now, why do you think that is? Now, don't get me wrong, there's definitely an element of that in there. I'm going to show you a little bit of what Microsoft was able to pull off during COVID-19, and I'm also going to show you about some other, let's call them investment strategies that Bill Gates likes to employ. Alrighty, so as you can see right here, the share price of Microsoft during the, say, 2 to 3 years of COVID nearly tripling in price. We see the revenue up 75 billion, maxing out there in 2022 at over 200 billion US dollars. And we see the total market value, or otherwise referred to as net worth, toppling nearly $2 trillion. So no doubt some major gains made there by Microsoft, but Bill Gates has found a different investment strategy. So it was back in 2019, and I'm not sure that he'll be repeating these words anytime soon, but he was actually gloating about the huge returns that he has been able to attain via investing in vaccine development and research and distribution. And he really was very excited to learn about how big those returns were in comparison to, say, investing in blue chip stocks. Anyway, take a look.
You've invested $10 billion in vaccinations over the last 2 decades, and you figured out the return on investment for that. And it kind of stunned me. Can you walk us through the math?
Well, it's pretty impressive that when you take these vaccines, get them to be very inexpensive by making big volume commitments, have that right relationship with the private sector, get the delivery system so they're really getting the coverage out there, you literally save millions of lives. And 20 years ago, when we created these new multilateral organizations, Gavi for the vaccines, Global Fund for HIV, TB and malaria, we didn't know they'd be successful. They've gone through lots of challenges about making sure the money gets there, making sure the efficiency is right. But as we look at upcoming replenishments for those, and we've got so much distraction politically that the international needs like this could get eclipsed if we're not careful. We see a phenomenal track record. It's been $100 billion overall that the world's put in. Our foundation is a bit more than $10 billion, but we feel there's been over a 20-to-1 return. So if you just look at the economic benefits, that's a pretty strong number compared to anything else. The human benefit in millions of lives saved. So, we're here with a pretty strong message that although all these other issues are very important, let's not forget about the great success in global health and maintaining that commitment.
I think the numbers that you ran through were, if you had put that money into an S&P 500 and reinvested the dividends, you'd come up with something like $17 billion, but you think it's $200 billion.
Here, yeah. Helping young children live, get the right nutrition, contribute to their countries, that has a payback that goes beyond any typical financial.
The typical billionaire justification, right? Well, yeah, I'm making billions of dollars, but I'm doing it for the overall betterment of humanity. Notice when asked these questions, Mr. Gates likes to go on long tangents about how he's serving humanity, etc. Meanwhile, COVID-19 kicks in and the man's able to increase his net worth by 35 billion US dollars. Now, let me ask you the question at home. Given the huge profits this man has been able to pocket, can one really refer to Bill Gates as a humanitarian and a philanthropist, or is he simply just a multi-billionaire American businessman who really seeks to dominate markets around the world? And you don't need to go down any rabbit holes to come up with some fairly logical explanations for what motivates various human beings in life. One thing we should never ever underestimate is the power of greed. What motivates people in the world who already have everything, who already have all the money to buy whatever they want? Well, it's power, it's dominance, and I don't care what anyone says, people at that level, they're not immune to that sort of thing. So if they were truly humanitarians, you would see their net value decreasing, not increasing. Does that make sense to you, ladies and gentlemen? Now, 20 to 1 return, just unbelievable. Now, in addition to that, and Bill Gates, of course, made some disparaging remarks about the stock market when compared to the returns that he would expect through the development of vaccines and the distribution. But he is no stranger of the stock market either. So let me just show you what we've got right here. Just 1 second, let me pull it up on my screen. Alrighty, so a good article from the Ron Paul Institute. Bill Gates secured hundreds of millions in profits from mRNA stock sales before suddenly changing tune on vaccine technology. So the acquisition was indeed made in 2019, and Bill Gates must have incredible foresight or a crystal ball, or maybe he's an inside trader. Not saying that he is, just saying that it's a possibility. You never know at that sort of high levels. But due to the time in which he invested in BioNTech, into the specifically mRNA technology, he was able to cash out $260 million US in 2021, with $242 million being tax-free, because those funds went straight back into the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So incredible foresight there by Mr. Gates to predict that the stock price for the development of mRNA technology would drastically increase, and even better foresight to sell the shares when it looked like perhaps there was going to be issues with that particular market. So what do you think, ladies and gentlemen? Does this call for an investigation? But at the end of the day, who is truly going to investigate it? You see, when it comes to the world's global elite, and Bill Gates most definitely falls into this category with a net worth of over 100 billion US dollars. So the man has more buying power than a huge amount of countries in the world today. It really does appear to be anarchy at those levels. I mean, what we're looking at here with what we've seen over the past few years with the development of vaccines, the global rollout, and governments around the world adopting mandates as part of their policy, it has resulted in an extraordinary profit-making opportunity for people such as Bill Gates, who has a vested interest in Big Pharma, and also the big pharmaceutical corporations. They literally could not have found themselves in a better situation. Just imagine having a business producing a product, not needing to spend any money on marketing or advertising, and being legally immune should something go wrong with the product, resulting in injury or death. And on top of that, governments around the world essentially putting forward mandates for the industrial scale consumption of that product on a global scale. Think about how much money you would make. Now, I believe what we're seeing here, and we very well may see some similar trends with the rolling out of certain surveillance devices via maybe biotechnology companies in conjunction with technology companies, is a very strong partnership forming between the global corporations, global government, and of course regional government and government on a country-to-country level. So it's becoming harder and harder to actually differentiate between political interests and corporate interests. They appear to be merging together in some type of fusion, some sort of state/corporate hybrid. Now, there's another word for when this happens, ladies and gentlemen, and 10 points if you know what that word is. And what I'm referring to is the fusion of corporations and state. And that word is actually fascism. That's right, but don't take it from me. Don't take it from me. Take it from the godfather of fascism, Benito Mussolini, who said, quote, "Fascism should more appropriately be called corporatism because it is a merger of state and corporate power." Alrighty, so when we see governments and states around the world adopting a product, doesn't matter what product it is, seemingly without asking any of their own questions and really forcing that product into the population of which said government claims to serve, then it's only fair and reasonable that we ask questions, and it's only fair and reasonable that we do everything in our power to maintain our freedom, because of course when choice is taken away, when thought is taken away, when consent is taken away, when language becomes distorted, when all of a sudden the government has a keen interest in your safety and your health, and this is for your benefit, we look throughout history and that is always a roadmap towards tyranny. And in this case, I say fascism as well. So that's why we're MCJ Report, because we just talk about this kind of stuff. And to me, it's pointing out the obvious. And if you agree, then go ahead and share this broadcast and strike up a conversation with your friends and family around the dinner table. Thank you for watching. To make sure you never miss an episode, sign up at mcjreport.com. Catch you on the next one.